So it's Monday night. I left the house this morning at I don't know, about 8. And I started thinking about how hard it is to leave the house. And I'm home every weekend. And fairly often I'll get through the house maybe once a week. But it's still really hard being married and having little kids at home. And then you go on to YouTube and forums and on Facebook, different Facebook groups, and you see a lot of these guys and girls really with a spouse and young kids at home, or any any age kids that still live at home, as long as they're school aged. I mean, if you have a 18-year-old kid living at home, obviously that changes things a little bit. But I started thinking about how hard it is, and I don't know how some of these other guys could do it. And I don't know how somebody who is just now thinking about coming into this industry could do it, or could really even think it's a good idea to to take a job that could keep you away from the house for weeks, all the way up to several months at a time. Especially when there's several companies out there who can have you home weekly. I don't know if people are under the delusion when they come into this industry that they're going to get rich, and for the vast majority of us, that's not going to happen. We're not going to get rich. I'll be honest, if you come into this if you come into this industry to get rich, you're dumb. You're dumb. There's so many other ways that you could, maybe get rich. But this one most likely isn't going to be it. Instead, for your first year, you're going to be working at some mega carrier, away from home all the time, weeks, months. Make $700-800 a week. Just in the area where I live, there's two or three companies who take students. One of them's a flatbed company where you're home on the weekends, most weekends. Another one's a refrigerated company where you're home. You have the option to be home every weekend. You also have the option to be home for, go out for 5 days, be home for 5 days. You also have the option of going out for 12 days and being home for 2.5 days. But there's home weekends or home weekly options there. And then you have other companies for the flatbedders like TMC and Maverick If you're just starting out, if you have some experience, so you got companies like P&S out of Birmingham, their whole family of companies. I don't know much on the van or refrigerated side for over-the-road companies, but I know that Avrit or Avrit, however it's pronounced, was advertising for students be home weekly on the weekends. With a lot of these jobs, you could still make good money. And you actually have a life. You have a life outside of the truck. And I'm not talking about getting an Uber out of the truck stop and going to watch a movie. If you're single and you don't have any kids, then in my opinion, over the road is a great thing. A couple of years ago, I was running for 2-3 months at a time. But for the last about 3.5 years, I've been home on the weekends, with the exception of a small, 4-month stint where I was running on a 12 on, 2 off schedule. Before then, I had missed out of all the rest of that time, I missed 3 weekends at home. I missed 3. I missed one when I took a load going to Washington State because it paid really well. And then I knew I was going to be able to get a load out of there going down to Louisiana. That paid really good too. It's the only reason I chose to stay out on that one weekend. Another weekend, I got snowed in Beckley, West Virginia. It would have been in 2014, 2015. The end of 2014, beginning of 2015 at some point. And then I had one more weekend, about a month and a half ago, where a customer didn't get me loaded on time before my hours ran out, and I had to leave and come back on Monday or Sunday night and get reloaded. Other than those times, and then the short period of time where I was on the other schedule, I've been home every single weekend. A lot of it has been for longer than a 34-hour reset. There were some times that one of the companies, so one company who I was just talking about, who takes students they're about 20 miles away from me. A lot of the weekends home at that place, I was home 60, 70 hours. The company that I'm at now, they take students. Take students over here. I've gotten home on Friday. For the last 4 weeks, to leave on Monday. You know, there are a couple, for 2 of those weeks, I ended up getting back to the yard around 10 o'clock at night on Friday. 10 o'clock. One of them I got home. 2 of them, I guess, I got home around 6-ish. About 6, I guess. I was just thinking, there's a lot of ways for those who would want to be able to balance a work life and your home life. And for me, like I said, I just hate walking out of that house away from my 2-year-old, my little girl. And it's really hard when she knows daddy is leaving and she'll pretty much just ignore me. But then I guess the other side of it is, on the weekends when I get home, I just see her face light up when I walk in that door. If you're just coming into this and you have little kids at home and your financial situation could afford you to be home a little bit more, you should really consider it. You really should. It's life. It's not all about money. I know there's a lot of people on YouTube who would try to convince you that it is, but it's not. I mean, you work really hard, buy your kids whatever they want, but don't you think they'd rather have you around a little bit more? I do. My dad was never around. My dad was never around when we were growing up. I mean, he was home on the weekends. But all those baseball games and band stuff and choir for my sister and sports and everything else that we were all involved in that he never showed up to. There was a lot of resentment when we were kids. My situation now, though, I understand why he did what he had to do. But if he had been gone for a month at a time, that one I wouldn't be able to understand. Being an active part in your kid's life is important. It's really important. Being an active part and a contributing member in your relationship, your marriage, It's also very important. There's some stuff that, if you're thinking about driving a truck, that you're really going to have to think about. Because there are other options out there. Like I said, I mean, in flatbed, there's TMC, there's Maverick. I'm sure there's a lot more. I'm sure there's a lot more that I don't know about. Mast Trucking out of Millersburg, Ohio. You know, if you live in the Northeast Ohio area, they're for their 12 out, 2.5 off plan. They hire from a little further out, different states, but I don't know what their actual hiring area is for stuff for that one. But you know, if you live up in the Northeast Ohio area, that could be an option. You know, to be home every weekend, or you know, at least during the week at some points. You know, for weekly home time, if you don't get a weekends off. But I think at a place like that, it's usually one weekend day and like one weekday off. But there's other options out there. I don't know. I was just thinking about it, and I couldn't understand how some guys could do it. You know, when I get old and, you know, my kids turn 18, I'll be 50. I'll be 50 the day my youngest turns 18. She was born on my birthday. I'll turn 50 the same day she turns 18. I may not have anything to give her at that point. I may not be able to pay for her to go to college. I'll do what I can to help. I may not be able to give her a brand new car. A couple of years later, she ends up getting married. I may not be able to pay for a $50,000 wedding. But I can promise you that one thing that my kids are always going to remember is that on the weekends, I was at home. And when I say that I'm at home, I mean that I'm at home. I'm not out going to bars or hanging out with my friends. Because I don't have any friends. My wife and my kids are my friends. My parents live like 5 miles, not 5 miles, like 5 minutes away from my house. They're right around the corner. I see them maybe twice a month. Both of my sisters. One of my sisters lives right next to my parents. My other sister lives a lot closer to me than my parents do. My younger sister, who I've always been really close with, I could be at her house in a minute in the car. And this weekend was the first weekend I've seen her in like 3 weeks. Because when I'm at home with my wife and with my kids. When I'm at work, I try to call at least every night. I talk to my youngest on the phone, a FaceTime. If there's reception, or as long as our schedules are matching up. But I don't know. You just got to try to balance your work life and your home life. Maintain your sanity. And I guess maybe there's some people who just don't give a shit. They're more concerned about themselves and about their wallet. It's sad but true. Well, if you're just coming into this, or even if you've been in it for a while, you got kids at home, maybe something that you want to think about. I've been out here 7 years, and I can tell you that being away from home just ain't worth it. It's really not worth it.